This is a HeadGum podcast.
You got mail.
Hi, I'm Millie Tamaris.
And I'm Elise Morales.
And this is
Go Touch Grass,
the podcast where we log in.
So you can log off.
Elise and I are two chronically online comedians, and on this pod, we break down the week in internet discourse, viral memes, TikTok trends, and niche influencer drama so that you can literally do anything else with your life.
Absolutely. You could do nothing.
You can do nothing.
You could just sit and stare at a wall.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing to do.
And that's your God-given right.
That's your God-given right. And if you like what you hear today and you want to hear more, we've got a Go Touch Grass Patreon already up and running with all of our test episodes, mini trending topics, a weekly newsletter, and our spin-off series, Search History, where we go back and break down a viral discourse from the past.
And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review. We love reviews. We want and need more of them. We are insatiable.
Yes.
I do need an intervention for how much we need reviews.
I need my fix of reviews. Be
enablers, guys.
But it really does help people find the podcast and then for us to get more listeners, and then we get on the charts, and then everybody likes us, and then we kind of like win awards. Webby. There's so many awards that we could be winning.
Yeah, we should be winning awards.
the reviews to awards pipeline. It's a straight line, friends.
We need an award for most beef with J.K. Rowling.
I'll win that award every fucking year. She ruined my life.
Yes. Okay.
She took so much from me. Okay,
Speaking of people who've given us a lot.
Yes, someone who actually enriches our life.
Yes.
Someone who we love very much. We are super excited for our guest today. He is a writer, editor, producer, YouTube star, Al Gore impersonator, billiards enthusiast, but it's called something else, right?
Billiards is a blanket term for all
billiards
cue
is a
and ball
blanket
sports.
Okay, great. And the voice you just heard is the host of the very popular comedy show about environmental causes, Climate Town. It's Rollie Williams.
Woo!
Wow.
That is the single greatest intro I've ever had in my life.
Yes. Copied and pasted from your website.
I did give it to myself. Yeah, that's true.
And then I added some things. Rollie. Climate Town is an amazing show with a very cool backstory. Can you tell our listeners about Climate Town and how it came to be and why you felt it was important to create?
Sure, yeah. First of all, big fan of the pod.
Yay!
Big fan. Grass Nation. I am such a big fan of the pod that I have officially deleted my TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter apps on account of you guys provide my social media for me.
Wow.
This is a real thing.
Listen to this. We can free you.
We can free you. We do. We free you. Listen, we're doing important work, Webbies.
Yeah, Webbies. Hi.
I know Jonathan P. Webby. I can put in a word for you guys.
Is he hot? Can I sleep with him?
He
Is he a Nepo baby?
I think he is asexual. His father is
Listen.
Jonathan Webster, the dictionary
Listen.
tycoon.
Listen, I said if he was hot.
You're right. Yeah, you could shoot your shot. Mm-hmm. He's got great defense, though, I think.
Okay, wait. So you're Grass Nation.
I'm Grass Nation through and through. I'm so Grass Nation that I am a grasstronaut. I am out in space.
Oh my God, grasstronaut. We gotta add that into the lexicon.
Yeah, let's ask Angelo how he feels about that because he didn't like, what was the other one?
He did not like Grassic World.
Oh, Grassic World. Jurassic World.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to, because Grass Nation, we need to take it international.
Yeah,
we have
grassologist.
Grassologist would be somebody who analyzes.
Yeah.
I think grasstronaut. This is a term that I've thought a little bit about. It's because I'm out. Like I'm out of the influence sphere, but I am still pinging my satellite off of Go Touch Grass.
But that's who our target audience is.
Exactly.
It's people who don't know and want to know, but want to maintain some kind of mental stability.
Yeah.
And we'll feed
and
off
profit
ours.
off of our instability.
That's right.
Of our inability to log off.
Speaking of grass, tell us about your comedy.
Sure.
The environment.
No problem. Yeah, great and
how
great.
we're not going to have any more grass pretty soon.
I will say, best transitions in the game over here, folks.
We work
hard.
I
love it. Real recognize real.
Yeah. So I got a YouTube channel. It's called Climate Town, and it began as a live comedy show at kind of Caveat Theater, like at Annoyance Theater first in like 2017.
Where I met my husband.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams come true in that basement where rats fall from the ceiling.
People, you're like badly influencing people. Well, if anything, it puts into context how Danny didn't have a proper bed frame or a proper cell phone.
No, he did not.
Before they met, and it was because cautionary tale, they met at the Annoyance Theater.
Yeah.
And that's what will happen to you if you meet your husband at the Annoyance Theater.
He had a boy room.
Pin
in that discourse for maybe a future guest who's coming in here, but my husband did have a boy room.
Okay, but speaking of man room.
I'm so sorry. Can I just, Millie, did you just shame somebody for their cell phone impropriety? Because that's kind of your whole thing.
Wow.
This isn't about me.
I'm sorry. All right. So at the Annoyance Theater, an improv theater where all best husbands are met.
Wow.
People out there, meet your true partner.
Oh my God.
At an improv theater. They have 2 T-shirts.
That started there was healthy and good.
These men have 1 towel to their name.
Oh my God.
Okay, so we did this, doing this show kind of like an Al Gore on an I Told You So tour.
Yes.
It evolved into a talk show. It got to the Caveat Theater. Both of you were on the show at the Caveat like 50 times.
Yeah.
And then we got more and more, like, because at the Caveat Theater, you have to have like an element of education to the show. So I was like, well, let's have climate scientists. Let's see if we can get some climate scientists on. And every time I would call a climate scientist to be like, do you want to be on this comedy show about climate change? They'd be like, yes, absolutely. No one is listening to what I have to say.
No one cares.
Please put me in front of a microphone. I have important information.
It's like a room of 100 people who want to listen.
Yeah.
My God, what is that like? So we'd get more climate scientists on, and then we'd always go to the Donnybrook bar. Shout out to the Donnybrook, I guess.
God, yes.
Fuck that place. It's fine. Well, I don't have a.
It's fine.
It's fine. It gets a little crowded on the weekends.
Yeah.
With people that are
not climate scientists.
Not climate scientists.
Yes.
So we'd go out to the bar with like the cast and the climate scientist afterwards, and they would always be like, hey, thanks for, putting on the show. And then we'd be like, oh yeah, climate change, we're going to be okay, right? And they're like, no. Oh my, no.
Absolutely
yeah.
not.
Oh, sweetheart, no. So through that anxiety or just realizing that this is a bigger problem, I went back to Columbia to get a climate science and policy degree.
Yes, you went and got your
this
fucking
man
master's
got a degree
to make comedy.
It's true. It was the intention. My letter of like, can I come to your university, was like, I really want to make a good comedy show about this, and like I need better information. And also that was when Joe Biden was like, don't worry, brother, I'm going to cancel all your student debt.
Well,
I was really hoping.
Yeah, well. Well, if you were a teacher for 20 years, maybe. If you were
I guess there's still time. I could go into teaching for 20 years and cancel out $70,000.
You got your master's. Listen, that's a good reason to get a master's, and there are people who get a master's in climate change policy to work at Exxon. The sponsors of the Daily. The New York Times,
they cannot stop taking that oil money. Even in episodes about how bad oil is for the planet.
I know. They'll
like sponsored by Exxon.
You need to say that this company is one of the sponsors of the
Yeah. Jesus Christ. But so that is a good, and that's why you got in, because that's a good reason to go. So then you graduate with a master's in climate policy. Then what happens?
And then,
so now you live show. What do you do?
Well, during the degree, the pandemic hits. So the live show shuts down, and I'm kind of like left with like everybody else trying to do like live Zoom comedy shows that feel like slowly stabbing yourself for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no more of this, please.
I teach Zoom stand-up comedy, so
it's a class.
A
class is different than when we were trying to do literal comedy shows and you couldn't hear laughter and everyone's camera was off and you're telling your jokes into a little screen and you're like, I think everyone just signed out of the Zoom while I was talking.
I did an hour-long set for the Walmart corporate staff. So listen, I know. I've been in the trenches.
An hour long.
Yes, God. It was tough.
That's so bleak.
So the pandemic shut everything down, and then I just kind of pivoted to YouTube, and I dropped just for the record, the whole every iteration of this show was me as Al Gore doing like a comedy show from the perspective of like a 75-year-old ex-politician. But it was, I wasn't super in character and I never nailed the accent. It's just like whatever, like Southernish.
It's a loose
girl,
Al Gore.
Yeah.
It's okay. Most people don't even remember what he was sounding like.
That's true. I was trying to buy a suit recently, and I was like, I need it to look like Al Gore, and the man was like, Who are you talking about?
Exactly. So
I was like,
if anything,
whoa,
you're
boy.
bringing him.
I need it to look like Al Gore. What did you mean by that?
Yeah.
Oh, I needed to look like an Al Gore suit, like a suit that Al Gore wears. Yeah, but like a politician suit.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, does Al Gore have like a style profile? Like,
yeah, he wears a really long coated suit, like he's in the second Matrix movie.
He's got a drop
so
waist.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So then you drop the Al Gore.
Drop the Al
thing,
Gore.
and you just were yourself.
Just were Rollie.
And
that's when you took off.
And then it took
Yeah,
off. It
wow.
went big.
Butterflies out there, spread
it's
your
really
wings.
popular. Like millions of views, all your videos, a lot of subscribers. And again, it's like deep dives into like different subjects.
Yeah.
It's so fucking great.
Thank you so much.
It really
very
is,
nice to hear.
and I feel like it's because the youths actually do care about this.
Yeah.
And want to know about solutions in a way that I feel like the older generation just does not realize that it's like actually a motivating issue.
Yeah, they were too busy owning property
Yeah.
to care about it.
I know.
We don't know what that's like.
All right, before we get into the discourse, we do have
yeah.
one more question for you, Rollie,
All right,
because
hit me.
you're an important part of Elise and Millie lore.
Yes.
Is this right?
Yes.
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 Can you tell our listeners about the project you created also at the Annoyance Theater
Oh, yeah.
that helped bring the two of us together in friendship?
Is this true that you guys did not really know each other before?
No.
Not super. No,
No.
like we knew each other from around, but that's where we
we
became
weren't
friends.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was your thing. So tell the people what it was.
This
'cause
makes me feel great.
It's insane.
Yeah, okay. So there was one night where I was in my little Williamsburg apartment and I got super high on the roof of my apartment.
Absolutely.
And then I was too afraid to go outside because I was a little too high. And so I was like, I'll just watch a documentary. And I just watched a documentary about the Chilean mine collapse. And it blew my mind. I was like, I had heard about this when it happened and I just never got into it. It was the fucking craziest story. These dudes almost died so many times. They were trapped for like 18 days or 12 days without anybody thinking they were still alive. They just like kept on. It's a crazy story. And so I had just seen Sleep No More, the like immersive dance show. And I was like, I can fucking do that, you know? And so I wrote an immersive show about the Chilean mine collapse specifically for the Annoyance Theater because it looked like a collapsed mine.
Yes.
As a theater.
It was in a basement. You had to go down a lot of stairs to go to it.
There was one entrance and exit, and it was like cramped. So if there was ever a fire, everybody would have died.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was pretty close to the unsafe working conditions of the Atacama mine that they did.
So then you cast an all Latino cast.
That's right, except for the owner of the mine.
Was always an evil white man.
Yeah, I think his
Which
name
you
was
played
like
a lot.
Whitey Evilman or something was his name.
Yeah.
That Peter Smith played for a while.
Yes.
And then they got cast on Broadway.
Yeah.
Which is what you want. You know, like you want your cast members.
Bowen Yang was the director.
the director.
And I remember at the end when we got free, he would open up the little fire escape.
And we would
his
all
little
walk
hat,
out.
And we would all
So it was like
walk out.
immersive. The audience all got hard hats.
Yeah.
And it ran fucking every Saturday for like a year.
I know.
I remember.
It was a long run.
It was a long
They
run.
kept on making. I was like, we don't want to do every Saturday. We want to do like every other Saturday, once a month, something like this.
No,
And they're
bitch,
like,
get
no.
in the mine.
Get in the mine. Get
in
your
the
ass
mine.
in the mine.
It was like we were minors, you know?
Yeah,
Like
because me and Elise were minors. And
Yeah.
also, I'm like, we didn't get paid for that show. It was like the unsafe working conditions.
Truly.
The parallels to the mine are myriad.
But the audience got to explore the mine and go into different rooms.
Yeah,
and,
where
like,
we would each be doing different things.
There was like a smoke machine. We turned out all the lights, and everybody got a mine helmet, or like a hard hat, and a little tiny flashlight.
Yeah.
And so like there were different parts of the space where you could like write a letter home.
Yeah.
And I would like mail the letters afterwards, or like I think Millie, Elise was in the back.
I did
What were you doing?
stand-up.
Yeah,
Oh,
you were
that's
like
right,
a
that's
minor that
right.
wanted to explore stand-up.
Yes.
I was a minor that was a virgin
Yeah.
and didn't want to die a
That's right.
virgin.
That's
Yeah, so you
right.
could-
So I would kept like asking people, "Do you want to like take my virginity?"
Yeah, you could be propositioned by Millie.
Yeah.
You could
That's
watch
right.
me do stand-up on the stage.
I think
There was a lot of options.
Yeah, Juan Nicolone was creating a new religion or something.
Yes.
And then Will Martinez would take people into the back and play a slowed down, freaky version of Justin Bieber's "Sorry" and do a slow striptease for them. It was like such a weird, fun.
And
Yeah,
it ran for
people
a
loved
year,
it.
y'all.
Yeah,
People
people
love
loved
this
it.
shit.
People liked it. I have secret hopes of like on the anniversary of the day they all escaped, which was like October 13th, I think.
We
like
should do
bring
it
it
again.
back for a one-off.
That
We
space
should.
is still open. No one has bought the old annoyance.
What?
I
No,
thought
you're
it was,
kidding.
You could rent it for like baby showers or something.
We could rent it for
Can
this.
you imagine the
Yes.
baby shower that's in that space?
I know. Dark.
Gender reveal goblin.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be like a place where sex workers would go before Annoyance bought it. So there'd be
Amazing.
clients. Sometimes
Oh,
people
that's
would
right.
go into the theater thinking they were
It was
gonna
still-
get sex work, and it was an improv show, and somehow they got fucked even
It was
worse.
also under a jazz club, so sometimes like you would be doing your show and there was just extremely loud,
Loud
jazz,
jazz.
music
Yeah.
playing. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, okay.
Which is like the stand-up of old, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that like how it
exactly.
kind of used to be, the
Exactly.
baseline? Well, anyway,
Well-
I'm so happy that we could cast the two of you in those roles and that you guys could
I
build
know,
a
and
friendship
now
out of
here we
that.
are.
Trauma bond in the minds.
Years later, we've been trauma bonded in so many other
In
ways too.
so many ways, and now here we are.
And now we are sharing our trauma for the world in the form of
a podcast.
A podcast. Okay, listen.
Discourse time.
Discourse time, but quick PSA to Grass Nation. I'm on Discourse today, and I know that people are clamoring for our take on the Drake versus Kendrick situation. But we just recorded, literally last week, we recorded a super special Patreon app getting into the push-ups, Drake's push-ups, Kendrick's Euphoria, and Kendrick's 616 in LA. We spent a long time talking about it, and we thought that was it. Since then, literally 5 more discs have been
absolutely.
released, and we're ready for it. We want to tell the listeners that in 2 weeks, we booked a friend of the pod and hip-hop journalist, Jax Morrell, to go on a deep, deep dive with us about all things Drake and Kendrick. Till then, we're going to ask Grass Nation, study up. We have one episode titled Drake versus Kendrick versus J. Cole that talks about the origins of the beef. And again, the one that we released last week that talks about the first 3 diss tracks.
Yeah.
We are going to get into it. Just wait. Again,
We have an expert.
we have an expert. And let me tell you something. Jax, he's tired. He's been working all week. He's released like 20 videos.
It's a shocking amount of content.
It's a shocking
It's
amount of
Firefest. It's a new Firefest.
It's-
Yes.
it's
Firefest like in the tempo, not Firefest as in flop fest.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, like this is it is all eyes of the nation are on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though Rollie is not a hip hop journalist, he was very excited to come on and talk things Drake and Kendrick, and was deeply let down by the news that we were not going to do that. So before we get to the discourse, we are going to do Rollie.
now it's like in your head.
It
I know,
ought to be rolling.
And I've said your name right before.
That's true.
So,
Literally hundreds of
Rollie,
times.
Any thoughts about the Drake versus Kendrick of it all?
I mean,
What do you want to express?
What do you want to express that you
You
were
have the
excited to
floor.
express? You
I
have the
mean,
floor.
I just wanted to say how happy I have been over the past couple of days to just get to experience this as a group. Like like all of us are. This is what Twitter is for. This is what
Yes.
Instagram and TikTok are for. It's for like funny people having hilarious takes and
Yes.
like everybody building on other people's jokes. It's like an incredible improv group scene that everyone
Yes.
gets to be a part of.
Yes.
And I just think that's
You're
a
just
really
happy to be
beautiful
here.
thing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really happy to be part of it. Obviously, Kendrick is smashing the floor with Drake at the moment. I don't know what to tell you.
It's
And you know, it's like what we say, like, there's not much monoculture anymore.
No.
Everything's so niched off, which is a good thing in some ways. And then also it makes you really appreciate when there is a monoculture thing that happens.
When this happened, I mean, SNL talked about. I feel like that's like the big still a big marker of like, is this big enough that like SNL will talk about it because they have to like consider such like a wide swath of an audience.
Yeah, including people who like Nikki Haley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have to like literally consider weird Republicans and what they're making their show. So for it to reach that level, it's like, oh shit, basically everyone's heard about this.
And I just want to say again, Elise, going in again. Knew nothing, and I was the one, and I was
Millie
like,
shepherded me through.
I shepherded you through the beefs and everything, and now at least, like, how does it feel to be in? And I mean, this is a true testament to the ethos of the podcast. Someone who doesn't know anything can now walk in.
Now I can, and now I really do feel like I'm understanding all the levels of memes, because I would not have understood necessarily. I would know. I think back to who I would have been had Millie not done the Patreon episodes explaining to me the origins of the beef, right? Who I would have been, I would have known that Kendrick and Drake were beefing. I probably would have seen some of the lines, but I wouldn't have understood that J. Cole was involved in this, but backed out. Yes. Because he knew
Smartest
that it was gonna get nasty.
But we were talking about, like, he didn't back out on his beef against a woman.
No, but he backed out on this one. And now when I'm seeing these memes online, I understand the references to J. Cole. Many of the jokes are about like J. Cole on a private island just happy.
Yeah, J. Cole it's like J. Cole was supposed to take a plane on 9/11.
Yeah, and they said like J. Cole got the last chopper out of Nam. Like literally so many different things
and
about J. Cole removing himself from this beef, and it is because of this full context that Millie provided, and I would not have known any of that.
Yeah, and now you're providing analysis, and again, even if you're not into hip hop, again, Swifties, you're
similar.
ripe for this.
Yeah.
This is for you. You just have to know a little bit of background, and then you can really enjoy this.
You can get into
because
it's very similar.
It's advanced. This is advanced what the fuck's Taylor Swift is doing. Yes. Taylor Swift is light references or whatever.
Yeah.
Drake and Kendrick, they're going for the jugular and stuff.
This would be if like Taylor Swift released an album and was like, Olivia Rodrigo is a pedophile.
Yeah, exactly.
But like for 7 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like a full song that's like Olivia Rodrigo has fake abs.
And then Olivia Rodrigo goes back and is
BBL
like,
Rodrigo,
you just feel triggered by me because you were molested.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Which is what Drake did say.
Yeah, it's getting
you guys,
really
it sounds
crazy.
like we're getting into the discourse
here. We're not.
Listen back, guys. Watch this space. But till then, today, we're doing a search history type episode.
Oh, shit.
Where we're doing a deep dive into a viral discourse from the past. We're going to get into a historical, controversial brand influencer trip. Now, before we get specifics, where we get into the details of this specific trip, for the uninitiated, a brand influencer trip is when a brand gets a group of anywhere between 5 to 15 influencers and they go on a free, all expenses paid trip to an exotic location. The catch for the influencer is that they have daily post requirements. So if you go, sometimes they get a rental chalet in like the Swiss Alps or Bora Bora or anywhere. But, to go, you have to sign a contract saying that you're going to post 10 posts a day and all this other shit, right? So
and tag and all this shit.
And other brand guidelines. But for the most part, it's a creative way for brands to share their product with a bunch of engaged audience members. So if every influencer on the trip has 1 million followers and they're posting 10 posts a day about a beautiful, fun trip, brands have the potential to reach millions of people and have them engage with their brand and, see their brand in a new way, like in this aspirational way, tell the brand story they want to tell. And again, it's like perfect. Some brands will do these brand trips around a new collection that they're dropping or, stuff like that. And again, if you think about like how many people get reached through a TV commercial and it's like, you can't really segment the audience the same way versus like you can reach millions of people through these brand influencer trips. And again, the goal is, quote, like this is from like some kind of B2B magazine. The goal of a brand influencer trip is to authentic content that resonates with their audience and helps brand expand their reach while fostering long-term relationship with a community of like-minded creators and fans. Now, While a brand influencer trip is sometimes a no-brainer for brands, the most controversial brand trips have been criticized in the past for only bringing on skinny, white influencers or making their influencers of color stay in subpar rooms like some sort of caste system. Specifically,
That's real?
Jesus.
that's real.
Holy shit.
That's real. Either like they put the women, the creators of color on a different side, or if you have less followers, like if you have more than 1 million, they take you on some excursions. If you have less than 1 million followers, they don't take you on everything.
Wow.
So
They put you in fucking steerage to go on the brand.
Yeah.
Well, you get to play the fiddle with the other, Irish people.
Exactly,
That's kind of
exactly.
nice.
And specifically, like that one thing that comes to mind is the Tarte
I remember this
influencer
one.
brand trip, which we're not talking about that, but put a pin in that discourse. We should
That's a
do
good search
a whole
history.
fucking episode on the Tarte influencer brand trip and all the fallout, because they are racist. Anyway, but today we are talking about the influencer trip that was taken just under a year ago.
Wow, time does fly.
Time does fly. It felt like 5 years ago, but
I know.
it was
I was
not.
like,
Today we're talking about the Shein influencer trip.
Oh, beautiful.
Shein, the fast fashion company, which is extremely popular and has been mentioned on the show for having literal blood samples in their packages. To be
What?
fair, we did exonerate Shein for that. It wasn't their fault. But
No.
somebody did find
blood in their Shein, but
blood in their Shein.
Based on our investigation, this happened as a result of the distribution center.
It wasn't
someone
Oh,
was
it's just a company that Shein directly pays to do
No,
the things?
it was like at a FedEx facility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
okay.
blood was added later.
The blood was out of it.
It always is.
Shein would have charged money for that.
Jeez.
So,
But not a lot.
not a lot.
They do it in bulk.
Not a lot.
No, way less than if you got it at any other website.
So, in June 2023, in preparation for an initial public offering or an IPO, for Shein getting an IPO, a group of American fashion influencers and creators visited a model factory in China as a part of a tour sponsored by Shein, the internet shopping giant. And they all posted glowing reviews. The influencers traveled to the southern Chinese megacity of Guangzhou to see the company's, quote, innovation center, a bright and spacious facility featuring high-tech fabric cutters and robots that transport materials. Smiling workers were crafting clothes as the group toured the factory, with some visitors even testing out some of the tasks themselves. Let's watch a video from plus-size influencer Danny Carbonari, who we will get into later.
China trip has been one of the most life-changing trips of my life. Getting to see the whole process of Shein clothing from beginning to end with my own two eyes was so important for me. Kicking off the trip by heading to the factory of the leading manufacturer for Shein was the perfect way to start. I was really excited and impressed to see the working conditions. The next day, we headed to the Shein Innovation Center. This facility blew my mind. It's over 600,000 square feet. There's so much technology, and Shein is just such a developed and complex company, and it was so beautiful to see firsthand. I was able to interview a woman that worked in the fabric cutting department, and you guys know me, she's an investigative journalist, so I asked her all of our questions, and she answered them honestly and authentically. She was very surprised at all the rumors that have been spread in the U.S. She told me about her family, her lifestyle, her commute, her hours. Our last stop was to the Shein warehouse. This place was massive. It's about 84 acres and almost fully run by technology and automation. I was really impressed by the extensive checklist that each item had to go through before it's shipped off. I think my biggest takeaway from this trip is to be an independent thinker, get the facts, and see it with your own two eyes. There's a narrative fed to us in the U.S., and I'm one that always likes to be open-minded and seek the truth, so I'm grateful for that about myself, and I hope the same for you guys.
Okay, so good.
I'm here at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, and I just interviewed Olga, who says the doors are always unlocked.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, you're fucking... I'm sorry.
God.
Like... Yeah, of course the workers said that everything is great.
Have you guys ever seen those videos of like American journalists getting taken to North Korea to like
Yes.
see
It's
the
literally
computer
exactly
labs?
that.
Well, if they're allowed in, they're not seeing the real
Yeah.
Well, exactly. It's like where they're like, hey, I actually realized that all of the students who are sitting and typing on computers and smiling, there's nothing on the screen.
Nothing.
Like,
Yeah, there's no internet. There's no
they're actually
power.
typing help
Yeah.
over and over and over again. If you look at their fingers, like it's so. I mean, to be like, there's a narrative that's fed to us in the United States, but I went on a Chinese Communist Party
A
sanctioned
propaganda tour, yeah.
of fucking factory, and now I've seen the truth, girl.
Yes.
Girl.
So, Rollie, real quick, one of my favorite episodes on Climate Town was the fast fashion one.
Oh, thank you.
So, I want you, if you can get like real simple into like,
sure,
what are some of the allegations against fast fashion companies, and why is it harmful for the environment and stuff?
Yeah, no problem. And we're actually wildly doing a kind of a follow-up video to that. I'm going to edit it right after I leave this.
Wow.
So I'm
So
up on all the
synergy.
stats right now.
Energy.
So first of all, like, in the 70s, America made 90+% of their clothing in America. Now it's 2%. So like we're offshoring all the clothing. But the way fast fashion companies make all their money is by underpaying their workers, like by a shocking amount.
Yes.
No, but the girl she talked to said that she loves it and that her hours are awesome and that every day is fucking joy at the Shein factory.
Oh, I guess that one is right then. Yeah. So fast fashion is cool and everybody should.
Yeah, never mind.
No, it's
Delete
like
all those flyers.
Right. I mean, just the also the way the clothing is constructed, like cotton gets grown in Texas, shipped to Bangladesh to get sewn together by like 9-year-old workers, then shipped to Turkey to get screen printed, then shipped to China to get tagged and bagged, then shipped back to Bangladesh to get like distribution back to America. And like it's all this, like you're sending the clothes like thousands and thousands of miles, and the only way to sell a t-shirt for like $7 is to underpay every single person along the line. And all these massive companies, the legislation is such that they're never held accountable for what the manufacturers are doing. So they contract the like by design. Like they've like lobbied so that they can hire a manufacturer. The manufacturer gets caught and busted for like child labor or making their like workers work 19-hour days or something, by an investigative journalist who is actually a journalist and not a Shein propaganda mouthpiece.
You know your girl's an investigative journalist, so I asked all the questions and I did not follow up on a single one. What are you fucking talking about?
God. And so like it's a deeply emitting, underpaying process that's like, and also we're not using the clothes that we have. Like we're overproducing so much that all the like something like 10 to 40%, I can't remember what the exact numbers, but like there are billions and billions of completely unused merchandise, articles of unused merchandise that are just like donated, but 10% of the things that are donated to like thrift stores are actually used, and the other or are either just like thrown in a dump or shredded to be burned, or callback, sent to the Atacama Desert in Chile, where the Chilean miners were trapped and piled up in giant mountains of trash clothes that sometimes burn and just release all sorts of toxic chemicals.
So they just put it in. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. What's up?
I'm sorry. I'm an investigative journalist, and I have a couple questions. They just put it in a pile in the desert and wait till it catches on fire?
Well, so Chile, the laws in Chile, the import laws in Chile are a little looser. So for some reason, Chile has become kind of a hub for clothing, like second tier, second purchase clothing. So let's say Shein can't sell all their t-shirts that say like killing it, whatever. And so they get bought in wholesale bulk for pennies on the dollar by Chilean importers, and then they try to sell as many of those as they can, and then the billions of the many millions of articles of clothing that don't sell, they need to move somewhere, and that somewhere is the Atacama Desert.
Wow.
And then sometimes they catch on fire and release toxic chemicals.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a giant pile of dry cotton. It's like anything
if it's
that
cotton.
or usually
like,
plastic. Yeah.
And before we move on, I'm just going to ask thoughts about brand trips in general, brand influencer trips in general. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have like a moral feeling about a brand trip. I think that they should not put the like black creators in weird other I think they should be not racist.
Well,
in general,
hot take.
I feel like does make sense if you're like a beauty company to be like, oh, we're going to take 10 beauty influencers, give them a bunch of our stuff, have them make a bunch of content.
Yeah, you can pay like $600 or $600,000 straight to Meta, or you can take 10 influencers to
wherever the fuck.
Dubai
Yeah.
and fucking.
I mean, it's the smartest. It's the smartest business move imaginable. I think to take people that people listen to, Trojan horse your own like company shit into them, and have them tell their tell their followers about it for like $2,000.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the cheapest, best ad, and it comes from the influencer themselves. This was the thing, all right? Like, it's to make the influencer earnestly say they love this brand because they got a little bit of money from them.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the backlash.
Oh, great.
Prior to the trip, there were reports that, again, Shein's extremely cheap prices are made possible by forced labor, human rights violations, stealing other designers' work, and peddling of clothing made with potentially hazardous materials. So in May 2023, a group of 24 U.S. representatives asked the Security and Exchange Commission (SEC) to stop the IPO, until the company can verify that it does not use forced labor to create its garments. A new congressional report titled "Fast Fashion and the Uyghur Genocide." Published.
Jesus Christ.
Yes,
I'm sorry. I did not know we were going to get Uyghur genocide.
Uyghur, yeah, sorry. I was like, I'm just not pronouncing anything right today. It's early. Details how Shein skirts strict import regulations established in the 2021 Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act by using their networks of Chinese suppliers and direct-to-consumer models. Most of the alleged abuses are linked to not the modernized factories that were visited by a group of influencers in Guangzhou, but to Shein's supply chain in the Xinjiang region of China, where the human rights abuses against the Uyghur ethnic minority have been widely documented. The U.S. banned imports from that entire region in 2021. In the 2022 British documentary Inside the Shein Machine, Untold, filmmakers found exhausted employees working up to 18 hours a day, often 7 days a week. The workers were required to meet strict quotas while being paid as little as $20 a day, and sometimes fined up to 2/3 of their daily wages for making mistakes. To battle that, Shein said, you know what? We want to be an IPO. We're going to do this brand influencer trip and invite a bunch of people and then put our positive company message. But the pushback was swift, with comments flooding and criticizing all the influencers that went on the trip. Again, they were criticizing them for understanding the company's alleged connection to human rights abuses and the environmental impact of fast fashion. Social media users question why the influencers would align themselves with what they claimed were unethical values, or whether the facility they visited was representative of the production practices, which they weren't.
I'm gonna guess no.
Yeah,
that the big shiny building that they took you to is not where they're actually making fucking Shein clothes.
Yeah, that's shipping like 17 shirts a day when like they make 300 million, like a day or something.
So the online hate comments that they got were something like, they showed you what you wanted to see. And then another comment was, I tip my hat to the marketing villain that came up with it.
Marketing villain is such a good
That should be the title of like, people in marketing.
Yeah, there's so many people who that's their actual job, is to be a marketing villain.
Lean in.
It feels, this is another one, it feels like they used you for damage control, and it's disturbing. What do you guys think?
I think the commenters are spot on with that one.
Sometimes
happy to hear
commenters
that.
say stupid things, but sometimes they're smart.
Sometimes the commenters are... They've got their finger on the pulse.
It's really nice to know that like it didn't fool people. Like,
and
the
they
overwhelming
got fucking
wave.
dragged.
Yeah, that's good.
I think the only people who were fooled are the people who went on the trip, but I feel like it's a self-selecting group, because I feel like, my guess is they probably reached out to some swath of influencers. I would guess there were probably a couple who said, I shouldn't go on a Shein brand influencer trip, and declined. So then the ones they get are the ones who honestly are clueless enough to go on a Shein brand influencer trip and post content like what we watched where they're like, the narrative is false. Everything is good at Shein. Like,
yeah, that was so overwrought too.
I know.
Can I ask you guys this? What would it take?
For me to go?
No, if Shein was like, hey, we love Go Touch Grass. We cannot get enough of this podcast. Millie, Elise, you guys are stars. We want to pay you to come out and see a factory. You don't have to do a little thing. Just see it and see what you think. What would it take? What was the dollar value?
There are very little things we would say no to.
I know.
But
10
we wouldn't
million.
say yes to that.
10 million. 5 each. 5 million each.
Damn, 10 million. Now you're fucking crazy. They wouldn't pay
And I
that.
don't have
What
to
if
post.
they did? You don't have to. You don't have to post if you don't want to.
No, then if you don't have to post, I'm gonna go see.
This is how they
then
get
I'm going
you.
on the free trip, and then I'm not.
I'm not
But then also,
posting.
then I get there, and I'm like, wow, the factory's amazing.
Yeah, it's like the Willy Wonka factory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel like you have to turn down the Shein and
You just can't go.
You gotta have
Sadly,
morals.
you gotta. I learned a long time ago, like sometimes you know something's bad, and you say yes because you're like, I got it. I'm not gonna be whatever this and
Yeah.
that because I'm different and I blah blah blah, and it just ends up like in the long run. And this is specifically with a company I worked for that was so bad and abusive.
Shein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
For
But
when
it was
I
like
was
in
working
the
in the
long
Shein
run,
factory.
it actually any benefit that I could have had was outweighed by any positive thing. Because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it would be good for my resume. Even though I knew this place was a very toxic work environment, I was like, you know what, whatever. No, sometimes it's just not fucking worth it.
Yeah.
So
And again, it's like, yeah, this person got to go on this free trip, but you just leveraged your like credibility as an influencer, and now everyone's hating on you. And even a year later, a podcast is like pulling up your video and being like, remember when this shit happened? So it's like you can really like if your business is being an influencer,
Yeah.
you do have to think about like if you destroy your credibility to your audience by like going on a crazy marketing villain trip.
Yeah.
That's not good for your overall business.
You better be getting 5 million to cover
Yeah.
the
and
cost.
sometimes they don't even they pay the people in kind
In gift
like,
cards?
Yeah.
Well,
and for like by covering the trip or whatever.
yeah,
Woof.
Like,
I don't even think they like. Sometimes they don't even pay people.
Yeah,
they
I
literally
think it
just cover
depends
the
on
trip.
the trip how it's structured.
Well, the backlash to the backlash, guys. Let's get into
Okay.
that. Some people
Always
say
happens.
there's the backlash, the favorite part of the show. Some
I was going to get a t-shirt and write backlash to the backlash head on it.
Woo!
That is
And
a
then I just
good,
That's
didn't.
good
merch.
merch.
That's good merch. We should put a pin in that merch.
Put in
Put
that
a
merch.
pin in the
That's
merch.
good-
The
that's good
backlash to
merch.
the backlash.
That's good merch. Some people say the Shein trip was especially demonic because, especially marketing villain-esque, because it specifically invited like now you say the strategy was they invited a bunch of people and the people that said yes, it's self-selecting. What people came to the conclusion was that they specifically invited a group of underrepresented people that frankly other brands would overlook, like majority people of color and plus size influencers and all that stuff.
That's
So
dark. Villainous.
Villainous. They knew these people, and again, the brands like Tarte and all this stuff, they're not inviting a group of women of color or plus size women. You know what I mean? They're inviting the Alex Earls, the skinny white. You know what I mean? So these,
So
it's
they
like,
kind of went to people who maybe this would be
Never.
their first ask to be on a brand trip.
Exactly.
Oh,
They've
they're
never
not inoculated against
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not inoculated.
yeah, so they don't know to watch that, you know? And they were so excited they didn't do their research and think critically about everything. And again, one of the people that got the most ire was a plus size model, Danny Carbonaro, who we saw that video earlier.
The Carbonaro effect, yeah.
Or Danny DMC. And she's a plus size model and content creator who refers to herself as a confidence activist.
The confidence activist.
The confidence activist.
We've pinned her before.
We've pinned her before. The confidence activist. She has 500,000 followers on Instagram, huge on TikTok, huge on everything. So she became the face of the Shein influencer trip. And then, you know, and then people went back and found her content And it's really interesting because it's sincere and nice and has a good message, but it's super cringe. Like she'll just have like a piece of paper and she'll put her middle finger next to it, and the piece of paper will say like racism, and she's like, fuck racism.
Well, that's how we beat racism, though. So I mean, we have heard a thing.
She's a white plus size woman. So as people were circulating, specifically in Black Twitter, the Black Twitter Shein influencer trip weekend was great. It was another monoculture thing, or like at least Black Twitter was having a fucking ball with it. Then they found Danny Carbonari, plus size white woman who's a confidence activist, and somebody I remember specifically, somebody was like, I know that there's a fine ass black man who don't play about her, which basically means like I bet you she has a really hot black boyfriend. And guys,
no,
she had a hot black boyfriend.
Wow.
He had like
God bless her.
super cut abs, and they were doing like dance challenges together, and all the videos surfaced. So then she was getting roasted. First of all, confidence activist, which again for her followers was probably really inspiring to see like a beautiful plus size woman like being but because she aligned herself with the Shein brand influencer trip, it fucked her up. She released this video just days after returning from the trip. So she came back from the thing, has been getting roasted for days, and posted this.
I wanted to come on here and clarify a couple things after yesterday's live. The first thing I want to make abundantly clear is I have terminated my relationship with Shein upon returning from the trip, and I will no longer be aligned with them or work with them in any capacity now or ever in the future. I made a mistake. I made a huge mistake. I always try to lead with me, my younger self, and my community in mind, and I let us down. I did us wrong. I led us to the wrong path, and I'm very aware of that now. I am ready to take accountability and look at myself and look at my role in my industry, and I'm going to take a couple weeks off. I'm going to reevaluate, rebalance, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be better, and I'm going to be stronger, and I'm going to continue the fight for us in a new way and continue to be an even better pioneer for the plus size community. So thank you, and I'll see you then.
Okay.
Guys, thoughts?
I mean, I think that it was a good apology in terms
It's a great apology.
of apologies. Yeah,
I made a mistake. I severed all my relationship. That's good. Yeah, we like that.
Yeah, I feel like we have to allow people to come back from having gone on the Shein influencer trip. And we have to allow people to grow from who they were when they went on the Shein.
Yeah.
She said her younger self, and I'm like, from 5 days early.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there is something to that idea that, like, I don't know, you target, like, slightly smaller creators. They get stars in their eyes.
Yeah.
I do think you have a responsibility to do a little bit of Googling. And the fact that she references the narrative in that first video is, like, you were aware that people think that this place is operated by sweatshops.
Yeah.
And, like you know what the narrative is if you're referencing it. So I think there's a little bit, I side-eye a little bit this, like, I'm educating myself now, but also I don't think that she's perpetrated, like, such evil that we can't allow the confidence activist to come back after 2 weeks.
I think that's a really shrewd take. I was like, my first reaction was like, oh, that's a great apology, way to go. And then I'm like, that's a great apology for a person. Mm-hmm. She's an influencer. Like, if you want to position yourself as somebody who, like, shepherds a flock, you need to have better foresight for, like, the way things operate in the real world. So, like, I'm glad she apologized. I don't think she should really be doing a lot of influencing, get out over her skis. Yeah,
I mean, personally, I feel like, as an influencer, as a person, it's a good, I feel a lot of things. As a person, it's a good apology. I'm a feeling activist, which just means I'm a Cancer.
Me too.
Yes, I know. That's why we get along.
Hell yeah.
What was I gonna say? So I feel a lot of things, right? She, as a person, it's a good thing, but as an influencer, you do have a responsibility to, like, care about your fucking followers and do good. And I will say the sad thing is that people do not fucking care about their followers. Specifically, I'm thinking of somebody like Dan Portnoy, that is a pinned discourse. We got to get into the barstool of it all. Of like, you're purposefully, like, there are just some people who will purposefully like push anything for fucking money and they do not care. But they get the results they get. But if you're in this thing of like pushing these vulnerable communities into being more competent and stuff, like, you have to do the research. At the end of the day, though, like, what I kind of feel like now that a year's passed, it's like, okay, it was funny to make jokes about her, but it's like, it's again this like huge mega corporation that's making a lot of money, that manipulated like oppression to get these vulnerable people. I'm not gonna say like these are like fucking completely oppressed people, but yeah, like there are people who don't get these opportunities and they gave them an opportunity or whatever. And then it just reminds me of like the Shein thing, to kind of put it into context. Like, a lot of companies do this thing, like Google or Meta or something, where like Google, like if you're a Google employee, you have great benefits. You get to like have the fucking cafeteria and laundry and all this nice shit. Yeah. But the majority of the work for Google is done by contractors who don't get any benefits, who don't get anything, blah, blah, blah. And they get these third-party agencies to whatever. And that is the reality. So it's like, yeah, for the like 1% of employees or 5%, like, so what happened is she went to a Google or like to the head office and was like, wow, this is nice. Because again, if you go to the Google head office, it's really nice. But I used to date somebody who was a contractor for Google, and he's like, it fucking sucks. Like, we see all these people, they had like a company like out day where they like rented out like Coney Island for all the Google people. But the contract, the Coney Island amusement park, they got to go on all the rides and all the stuff,
or whatever,
and Luna Park.
Yeah.
But the contractors didn't get to go, so they all had to stay back and work all day while like the people who, you know, and again, who is And again, if you look at the racial breakdown of who's actually like a Google employee versus a Google contractor. Anyway, that being said, so we did this thing because we were like, this is a funny thing in the past, right? That we can go back into and talk about. And I feel like there's a lot of really mystic messages and all these things from the universe that tells me and Elise that like this was the right place, right time. We did the podcast at the right time of our lives, all these things, and the universe just gives us signs. So we knew last week that we were gonna let's talk about the Shein influencer trip with Rollie. He has really great fast fashion stuff and all this stuff, even though it's like not not super topical, but whatever. And then guys, last weekend, as soon as Elise left my house when we were recording last weekend, boom, the confidence activist goes viral again on Black Twitter because this picture of an article comes out and it says, quote, life as a mixed weight couple. And it's her and her hot ass black boyfriend, and they talk about life as a mixed weight couple. I tried to find the article, so I don't know where it is. But she got roasted all weekend, and it was yet again topical.
Wow.
So
wow, she's bad. Millie, honestly, when you sent me this picture of life as a mixed weight couple, I did not realize that was the confidence activist. I thought you were just sending me something funny, and I was like, LOL, this is so funny. I did not even realize
that's the confidence activist.
That's the confidence activist. Confidence is part of life as a mixed weight couple.
Yes, she's getting.
She looks great in that picture.
Yeah, she's very beautiful.
Yeah.
She's very beautiful. Yes. And so is her hot.
Yeah, they're a beautiful mixed weight couple.
Mixed weight.
Yeah. Emphasis on the mixed weight. Yes. We must always reference that when we talk about couples. My God.
So of course Twitter was
twittering
about that so hard that I'm like, the universe knew we were going to talk about the confidence activist.
Wow.
Life as a mixed weight couple is so funny.
Did she like write that article for somebody, or what's the?
Well, I couldn't find the article. I just found the.
Was it just a picture?
I just found the picture, but
we don't do articles anymore.
Life
we just
as a mixed weight couple, and of course it was all Daily Mail and New York Post articles that were so incendiary, racist, and fatphobic. But I couldn't find that specific one.
Very interesting. I mean, if it wasn't like written by her, it was like an interview pitched to her in some way, shape, or form. All right, y'all. It's time. We're staying on influencer talk today because it is time for Grass Hole of the Week.
Oh,
Rollie,
what a section.
I know you know, but Grass Hole of the Week, for anyone listening, is our segment where we tell someone, we decide who needs to log off the most.
Yes.
This can be loving, this can be not so loving.
I haven't been loving in a while.
Yeah,
it hasn't been loving in a while. It's mostly
disparaging,
not.
I found, which
it's
I like.
Mostly not, but we like to leave room for it to sometimes be loving. This one I think is kind of a not, but not like, this isn't the worst person we've ever talked about, but they do need to log off.
Okay.
This week's Grass Hole is Catherine Asplund Nay Driscoll.
One of her names is Nay.
No, that's her. It's like that thing, like N-E-E, whatever. I don't know if you pronounce it Nee, but
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's how you say, like, that was their maiden name.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Nay, Nee, whatever. Anyway.
At least is fucking so well versed in titles.
in titular
You must be.
way, in the ways to respond to people, or refer to people. Anyway, who is Catherine Asplund Nee Driscoll? Okay, so she's a micro influencer. I think you would categorize her as that. She's got 14.5K followers on Instagram.
Wow, less than us.
Yes, but her videos are racking in like minimum 200K views. Okay, so, and my last video absolutely flopped in the algo, so I can't. I can't say shit to. I really can't say shit to her.
Yeah, well,
she's making those 14.5K work for her. And God bless. She's got 82,000 on TikTok.
Okay.
So micro influencer, I think, is anyone like under 100K. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but she recently married into a billionaire family. I question this. Everyone is referring, in all the stuff I found about this, they refer to this family as billionaires, but I kind of think maybe they're just like mega millionaires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not a Jeff Bezos.
Not a Jeff Bezos, because she married the heir to the Asplund Tree Experts Company, which is a company that will remove trees from your property, which I'm sure you can make
is it those orange trucks? I feel like I've seen them.
I mean,
do they have those big, like, do they remove a live tree, or because you're just talking about a woodsman at this point.
Yeah.
No, like I think it's like the shredding machine.
Oh, and it like.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't look that much into what Asplund Tree Experts Co. does, but I think it's her grandfather-in-law is Carl Asplund, who is Dr. Oz's wife's maternal grandfather. So we're talking about like C, D, D list billionaires.
Yes.
Also, I think her new father-in-law is Chris Asplund Jr., who is married to celebrity fitness trainer Tracy Anderson of the Anderson Method, which is like very famous. I think she trains like J-Lo and like a bunch of, she's like a famous fitness lady. She's probably the most famous person that's actually involved in it.
Okay.
Man, the Asplunds are knocking at the door of celebritydom.
Absolutely.
They're close.
They're getting there. They're marrying in.
Absolutely. So as you can imagine, her wedding was a big feature of her TikTok and Instagram persona. She got married like 2 weeks ago at this point. I screenshotted some posts. Here's them traveling to the wedding. She's got a post for that. You'll notice all her comments are off, and we'll get into why in a moment. Here's a post about Wedding Wednesday, which I think is just the Wednesday before your wedding. Here's the night before the night before. So this is the night before your wedding. And then, of course, we've got the wedding itself and the rehearsal dinner, which is many, many posts. But okay, so posting about her wedding is not why Catherine is the grass hole.
Although, guys, let's keep it cute with wedding posts.
Yeah. Less is more.
Yeah, I can't say... I have to leave space for the fact that maybe I posted this much about my wedding. So once again, maybe I'm the grass hole. But either way.
Yet again.
I guess it's possible that if Millie or I ever get married, we might post a lot of this. So
the Wedding Wednesday, night before the night before.
I don't know if I'll do Wedding Wednesday, but maybe the night before the night before.
I get like being like, oh, my dress came. Like, I feel like the week of your wedding, it is a lot of like stuff is happening where you're like, oh my gosh, we're boxing up all this stuff. Like, blah, blah. Like, so I get it. Especially if you're a pretty blonde influencer girl, like, I understand. But the reason Catherine is the grassel.
Tell us about why she's a grassel.
Is because 1 week ago, so like roughly a week after her actual wedding took place, maybe less, Catherine went viral in the subreddit NYC Influencer Snark.
Which is a
subreddit where people
talk shit about influencers.
And some of them are people we know.
Oh,
people we know, people we've had on. People.
Yeah,
like
NYC
site.
Influencer Snark is scary. But basically, she goes viral in there because someone posts in NYC Influencer Snark that Catherine Asplund tried to bully her into giving her username. So this other person, the original poster, is also named her given name is Catherine Asplund.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
New Catherine Asplund is Catherine Asplund nee Driscoll, okay? She used to be Catherine Driscoll. Now she's Catherine Asplund.
Heir to the strawberry fortune.
Heir to the tree thing.
No, that's strawberries. Driscoll strawberries.
Yeah,
right.
Former
Okay.
strawberry heiress.
Former strawberry,
tree
now
expert
tree.
removal.
So the original post says, this just happened today. I use this account to post and archive photos I don't want to post on my main account. I thought it was a scam at first. I would have given her my username, but her attitude threw me off. So Rollie, we're going to do a reading. Why don't you be good, Catherine Asplund? So you'll be in purple.
Okay.
And I will be evil Catherine Asplund nee Driscoll.
Yeah.
This is all taking place in Instagram DMs. Millie, you will react.
Okay.
Hi, I was wondering if I could purchase your username from you. Just got married and this is my new name.
Hi, congrats. That's my name too. I just Googled it and selling my username would get me banned from Instagram.
I purchased a username in the past and actually that's not true. Celebrities do it all the time. That's how all of their handles have their full names. So weird. I didn't know there was another Asplund family out there. There's no Catherine Asplund in our family. I see that you're not active on here, but you started Instagram in 2018, but changed your username 3 times. Is there any way I can get you to change your username one more time? Laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji.
This is my Finsta. I use it for private stories. I don't want to get banned. Sorry.
I actually don't believe that your name is Catherine Asplund. Who would make their Finsta their actual name? I reported you to Instagram, and they're actually able to tell me your real name. I hope I don't know you, because that's going to be really embarrassing for you.
Oh my God, this woman is a psycho. You can report me.
Just did, and my fiance did too.
You're asking me to do something to get my account banned. I doubt Instagram would take that lightly.
I'm asking you to change your username because you were pretending to be someone you're not.
Rollie's face.
My name is Catherine.
Which is illegal.
Nope. You asked to purchase my username, which goes against the Instagram rules. I just reported you.
The family I married into is the only Asplund family in the U.S.
I'm not American.
Do you have proof that that is your name? Would love to see that.
Why do I have to send you any proof of who I am? This is my account. I've had it since 2018. I'm sorry we share the same name, but just because you got married doesn't mean you can have my username. If you were nice, I would have considered giving it to you for free, but you weren't. I reported you for asking me to sell my account and another report for harassing me. Have a good day.
Boom. Okay, so that is the interaction. Reactions, Millie, to the performance that you just saw.
I mean, performance was great. I would say we have some friends who like made a kind of like a video series, Karen versus Karen, where they try to out Karen each other. And I feel like this is, I was like, I'll report you. No, I'll report you.
You're pretending to be someone you're not. You're trying to get me banned from Instagram. I'm like, it's like, okay. But I mean, it is just so funny how quickly she shifted from like, hey, could I get you to change your username? You're pretending to be me, aren't you? There's no Asplunds in the U.S. This person's like, I'm not from the U.S.
Such crazy main character syndrome. Like, there are a lot of ways to talk to a stranger to do you a favor that you want them to do. That going straight to like, fuck you, you're impersonating me, this is illegal. That's a crazy jump.
Yeah, I'm like, show me your birth certificate.
Yeah.
I would be
The
like,
birther.
I'll give you $2,000. $5,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
Very little I would say no to, except for a Shein brand influencer trip for $10,000.
It's so funny. So obviously this post goes super viral in the Reddit. People do not like it. The post then makes it over to the NYC influencer snark Instagram, where things get even more heated because Catherine Asplin's brother, something Driscoll, Burke or Dirk Driscoll or whatever the fuck, starts getting in the comments being like, she thought she was talking to a troll who took the username to spite her. The username was available a week ago. And it's like, you should have snagged it a week ago then. I don't know. Like, if it was, so she's trying to say, like, she thought that someone
got it because it's main character syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. And this person's like, I've had this account since 2018, whatever.
Which, like, she kind of knew. I guess the, like, changing of the username is something. Just, like, be 50% nicer for twice as long,
even
and you would have the username.
Even if this is a troll that's doing it to spite you, like, coming at them crazy is not gonna help either.
Yeah.
So now, as a result of this, even as of today, comments are off on all of her accounts, and every variation of Catherine Asplund is taken on Instagram. So now the real Catherine Asplund, Catherine_Asplund_, cat.asplund.
And it's people like trolling Catherine Asplund?
Yes. Some people wrote like the real Catherine Asplund, her, like, what it says under her name is entitled and deludelu. Another one says be kind. Like, people are literally taking every variation now of the username that's possible. So it's very Barbara Streisand effect. She could have gotten Catherine Asplund_, but now it's like she's not getting anywhere near that name.
And now, like, effectively her career of being an influencer, if all the comments are off on your accounts, like, you're not doing any influencing.
Yeah, it's not good. Like, she has posted, but you got to have the comments on so that people can interact.
Engage, and then it gets better.
Oh my God.
The only thing that can save her is a Shein influencer.
Maybe lean in.
But she doesn't need it. You know she's not shopping at Shein. She's a tree billionaire. So another TikToker found this. It is a TikToker whose username is Oops, I Gossiped Again. She found a video that has since been deleted from Catherine Asplund Driscoll's account that is so funny when you consider what has occurred.
Can I ask, how do you find deleted videos? How are these?
A lot of people will save it, because the first Shein video was deleted too. It's people will save it to their phones and then download like users will do.
Okay, so like, she found a video that, like, somebody had
usually
saved.
when some shit is going down, before somebody gets to delete things, everyone will scour through
and save anything.
And save everything.
Wow.
So I think
the archivists.
I think that's what happened here, is that Catherine did not delete this video quickly enough for someone to not save it.
This is the story of Catherine's life. She's just not quite on the ball enough.
No.
She's not getting the username. She's not deleting the videos.
No.
This is the best part that I came across in all of this.
Something else that low-key bothers me is when girls get married and it's not even like 10 minutes after they're like do their vows, like they're like, oh, go on my Instagram, let me change my last name already. I'm probably gonna wait a couple months. I don't know. I just think it's like a little bit a lot when I see girls change it like before I even knew they were fucking married. Like, chill.
So that's her. It gives her the ick for people to change their name right away. And meanwhile, fast forward to her own wedding, she's harassing people on Instagram to give her the username of her new name.
I have a devious little thought here. What if somebody saw that video, was like, oh, really? Okay, well, I will, like, what we think is the good Catherine Driscoll, or Catherine Asplund, guys, or whatever.
Asplund.
Yeah, what if she saw that and was like, oh, I see an opportunity here, and parked in that username?
Well, why would she say no to the selling? Because
that's a good point. It's not a well thought out theory. It doesn't hold up to scrutiny.
Like if let's say Sabrina Carpenter, this is or somebody who's upcoming, right? Like they just have a hit song. people will go and buy SabrinaCarpenter.com so that they could sell it to Sabrina Carpenter's team, and Sabrina Carpenter will have to fucking pay. If she wants SabrinaCarpenter.com, has to pay $15,000 or whatever.
Right.
But then you would just sell it.
Yeah,
I think that's
true.
what Catherine Asplund thought this was. But even if that's the case, she's still got to go touch grass, because you have to know you can't come at people like that and immediately be like, prove who you are. I know you're not an Asplund. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, you're not going to get what you want. No. And you're going to go viral and I've seen influencer snark.
I know. And also, it's just like, guys, throw money at the problem.
I know.
Money
well, I
will
guess
really
she was trying, but this person was like,
But you got to offer money, $5,000.
Throw a number out there. Yeah, she was just like...
So this girl's like, okay, well, if I get my Instagram account banned, then it's worth $5,000.
Yeah.
For our Finsta.
Or snag that handle.
Yeah.
And you saw it was free. She said she saw it was free. So, Catherine Asplund, I'm sure you're going to be fine, but go touch grass.
Go touch grass.
And that's the end of our show.
Yes. Well, Rollie, any thoughts on that or anything?
It's really interesting. One of my favorite things in the world is like having somebody be like, I would never do this thing. This is a crazy thing. And then you go find a video of them being like, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to really love it.
Yeah.
I think it's so
I'm going to
funny.
wait a couple of months before I change my name.
A week later.
Yeah.
You are not who you say you are. I'm the only Asplund in the United States. Like, girl, come on.
I've reported you and my husband has reported you.
Yeah. The reporting wars.
Yes, reporting wars. Guys, this was a great show. Rollie, we loved having you. Where can our listeners follow you?
The best place to find me is listening to Go Touch Grass podcast. But the second best place, I have a little podcast also.
Yes.
It's called The Climate Deniers Playbook.
Yes.
It's me and Nicole Conlon.
Beautiful, good friend.
My friend from elementary school, if you can believe it.
Writer on The Daily Show.
Writer on The Daily Show. And then I also have a YouTube channel called Climate Town.
Yes.
So check that out.
You can follow Rollie on Instagram at
Rollie Williams.
It's Rollie when it's on Instagram.
Yeah. Or at Climate Town. I don't have the problem of having to buy usernames from other people because I have a very specific name. So at Rollie Williams everywhere.
Guys, you can follow our podcast at Go Touch Grass Pod on everything. You can follow me at Pandalise on Instagram. Though, again, if you work at Meta, I would like to change my username. I would like, if you are the person who has Elise Navidad on, I would like to come to you with respect.
Yeah. And like $100.
But I don't want to get you banned, but we can talk offline about kind of an offering.
Because at least Navidad you have to get
I do have to get, but I also have to figure out how to change my username. There's a lot of different steps, if you are Elise Navidad on Instagram, I will come to you with respect once I figure out those first steps. Anyway, you can also follow me at Elise Navidad on TikTok.
Prove your last name is Navidad.
Somebody took at Millie Tamarez, so on Instagram I'm at Millie_Tamarez, and also on TikTok at Millie_Tamarez, but on Twitter I'm Millie Tamarez. Also, guys, check out our Patreon. We have the beef episode. Again, we get into Drake versus Kendrick. Get into plus size influencers versus Ozempic.
Yep.
And finally, we get into the most controversial beef of last week. The city of New York versus the couple that fucked under the blanket at Battery Park City. Blanket couple.
So all of that's on the Patreon,
all of that
guys.
is on the Patreon.
And until next time,
go touch grass.
That was a HeadGum podcast.
Hi, I'm Caleb Heron, host of the So True podcast, now on HeadGum. Every week, me and my guests get into it, and we get down to what's really going on. I ask them what's so true to them, how they got to where they are in life, a bunch of other questions, and we also may or may not test their general trivia knowledge, whether it's one of my sworn enemies like Brittany Broski or Drew Wallow, or my actual biological mother, Kelly. My guests and I are just after the truth, and if we find it, great, and if not, no worries. So subscribe to So True on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and watch video episodes on the So True with Caleb Heron YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday. Love ya.